This conference will now be recorded.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start the technical part today. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we're in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So to the technical part, first of all, I'll just tell you what is the underlying architecture of SAP TM. So basically, SAP TN is based on a framework which is called as the BOPF. BOPF means Business Object Processing Framework. Okay. The user interface for TM is based on ABAP WebDim Pro, and basically this UI is implemented using the Floor Plan Manager (APM). APM short form is Floor Plan Manager. So basically, this APM helps in your modeling and implementing and configuring your user interface. Okay. So overall, the entire floor plan. So if you are considering TM as a whole, including the user interface and the underlying technology, we call this that TM is part of API. API stands for Floor Plan Manager BOPF integration. So basically, this API is used to connect your backend with the user interface. And in this way, it also provides the connection between the various business objects in the backend with the user interface, which is realized with your floor plan manager. So the entire technology part, because it's a web product, so it is basically based on your BOPF component. Okay. So BOPF is basically a model based on where different types of parameters are used to implement the business object in TM. So what is a business object? Business object means basically when we talk about the like different types of transaction documents like freight unit, freight order, freight booking, okay, freight settlement. These are called as the business objects. So how do you enter or view the BOPF? So the model of your TM business object is actually the entire modeling of your object is displayed with the BOPF modeling tool. And if you want to access BOPF, you have to run this transaction BOPF /conf_UI. So this is the transaction which is used to view the BOPF modeling tool. Just 1 minute, it is opening.
So Viren, so this would be used by mostly the development team, or like even the consultants would use to configure something?
Even the consultants can use it to understand what is the different objects and all which is available. You just see it, I'll just show you. Even it will help you to browse through the different database tables. So
Okay.
there are three technical things of BOPF. So this is to understand the BOPF tool. Okay. So what does this tool contain? So this tool actually allows you to browse the list of different business objects of the application. So from here you can actually navigate the details of each business object to display what are the different nodes, hierarchy, configuration, DDIC structure, node elements, what are the different types of ABAP classes, what are the different, how to implement your action, determination, validation, all these things are basically available through this modeling tool. So if you see here, there are different types of objects which you see here. So first, let me go into the dependent object part. So if I expand this dependent object, you will see here that these are used in TM for part of those business objects that are not objects on their own. That means they cannot exist on their own. They only exist depending in case the major business process object exists. Okay. So for examples, if you see address, attachment folder, just 1 minute. So like for example, if you see this, if I expand this, just give me 1 minute, just 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah, sure, Viren.
Sure, Viren.
Yeah. So if you see this, like basically this particular business objects, this dependent business object cannot exist on their own. Why? Because if you see, for example, charge management, or for example, text collection, attachment folder, these cannot exist by own unless you create your own freight order, freight booking business object, right? So that's why it is called as a dependent object. Okay. Now the main thing, the dependent object is mainly dependent on their the master data, this metadata objects or this business process object. So if I expand this business process object, So the dependent object can be dependent on the business process object or can depend on the master data object, but mainly it is dependent on the business process object. Business process object is the maximum one. Let me go into the other smaller one, the master data object. Master data object means these are the master data business objects which call your HCM basis master data layer. Okay, that means all the master data which you create in TM, they are actually retrieved using the master data layer, and it is called via an adapter. Okay, so the content of these master data objects is maintained via the standard transactions in HCM basis. So always remember, because initially when TM was implemented, it was part of the HCM basis layer. Okay, so that's why this HCM, so TM is still part of the HCM basis, HCM component, but basically they are called or retrieved based on the via an adapter in the technical backend. Okay, so the master data distribution between your ERP and your TM follows the standard middleware architecture like shipping and all, even though it is embedded, but if we're talking about the standalone, we do it through SIP, right? So if you see here, all the business objects which you can see in TM can be found under the master data objects. Okay. The third part is a metadata object. So what is a metadata object? Metadata objects means like freight unit building rule, planning profile, all this information are metadata object. So basically in this business object, you can navigate through the different types of other components which do not belong to the other objects. Like for example, if it's a freight unit building rule, incompatibility, capacity selection settings, profile selection settings, etc. Okay. So for example, if I click on freight unit building rule, okay. So here you'll find, when I double click on the freight unit building rule, you will find there is a node structure and a node element. Okay. So, and if I expand on this node structure, if I find on the root, okay, if I double click on the node structure, under node structure you'll find the root. And if you see here, you'll find this data structure, combined structure, all these things. So what is a combined structure? The combined structure is nothing but it's actually your data dictionary structure, which includes the data structure of your node. Node means, see, there are two things. One is a node, root means always your header level, okay, and item means always your item level information. So here this particular combined structure means it includes the node instances. So every business object or every data which is created in TM includes a node instance. That is a key which is always generated in the backend. So the key of the direct parent node as well as the key of the related business object is found in the combined structure. Okay. So this, if you even go to AC11, you'll find with this that you'll find all the structure components there. Okay. And the data structure is what? Data structure means it contains the attributes of the node which represents the data. So that is actually the node. So this is the node element in which all the data gets stored in your data structure. And then you will find here, if you go down, so you'll find here the buffer classes, and every buffer classes has a database table. So if you want to know what is your database table, you have to double click on this. And here, if you double click on this, you'll get the database table name. So this is a database table for your freight unit building rule. So if I go here, if I go to AC16, you just put in the database table and you can find out what are the different freight unit building rules here. Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you go back.
So wherein how so? I mean, how with what amount frequency we will be using these tables as far as the technicalities are concerned?
Sorry, what is the question? How much is your?
I mean, how frequent we use this technicalities? I mean,
It depends on how much functional spec is there for your project. If you are having too much of functional, depends on how much enhancement you are planning for your project. What are the different forms you are writing? So I just show you some more. Mainly, what you have to do, mainly enhancement is done. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
So, yeah. Just let me complete this. So if you see, if I go on to this business process object, Yeah, if I go on this business process object, if I scroll down, always you remember that your SCM TMS TRQ is your request object and SCM TMS store is your order object, right? This I think you know it. Okay. So for example, if I go to SCM TMS store, SCM TMS store means freight order, freight unit, everything comes under here. Similarly, if you want to see the node structure, you click on the root name. Okay. Similarly, you will find all the data structure and all. So in case you want to insert a new field in your screen layout or field enhancement, you have to always go to the data structure. Okay. That your technical team will know it. And here, if you see below that, you have the database table, d_tor root. So every instances what you see, and always you note one thing here, that whenever you want to access any data technically from TM, you have to call a service manager. So the service manager is basically the manager. It's not manager in terms of that this is the major skeleton. So in your code line, you have to always call a service manager before you call your business process object in your code. Okay. So for example, if you are planning to develop a report for a freight order, something like that. So within your code, you have to always tell, okay, data lo underscore srv underscore ngr. That means you have to get the instance of the service manager, for example, for the transport request and all. So always service manager is one component by which you need to do a retrieving or querying or anything. So that is very important. Okay, that for your developer to will not go into the code level analysis. I don't think that is required from your end. But always, first of all, before you actually do anything, you need to understand here that what I am trying to do with my functional spec, what type of enhancement I need to do. So based on that enhancement, you need to write the spec, right, from where you need to pick up the data, correct? So for that, these are the core, means it's not possible to remember all the tables and all, but in case you want to remember some table, then you have to go in this way to find out the table. And every table, like has your corresponding fields and all, right? So from there you can tell from where you need to retrieve the field information and all. So for example, if I go on this dot type, okay, if I go on, if you want to know what are the different dot types I have. So I go to dot type. You understood this, right? What I'm saying? Go to the field.
Yes,
so this is the character length. You all get your character length. Okay. And then you can go into data type, double click on this data type, go to the value range, and here you can, if you want to add any specific dot type category, then your developer has to basically do the coding. But this is all from the coding perspective, okay, to find the database table and all. Now, how do we know? So any question on this front before I show you one important thing?
Very good, Viren.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No questions, Viren. Good.
Okay. So these are the prime division. So this is one transaction code I showed you. Now there is one more transaction code, BOPF. So CONF means for modeling. But if you want to test a particular freight order, TEST is that transaction code. Okay. If you go to TEST underscore transaction code, so suppose if you have a specific freight order, if you want to view technically what information is available in the backend, right? So either you can go into the database table level, but database table will not give you all the information in that way. So let me open any one freight order just to give you an example. If I open my So if I open my any consecutive freight order, my freight order will be under this one, edit freight order. So if I go to edit freight order, where is that? So suppose you have created one freight order, now you have to check it technically if it exists in the database. That is my objective. Okay. So one way I showed you in the last class, if you recollect, about going into the D_T dot table and then checking it, right? But there is one more way. What you have to do, suppose I want to see the freight order here. What you have to do, you go here, click on SCMTMS store, click on query, and under query, go to root elements, root elements. See here it says how you want to retrieve the freight order ID. I see I do it based on TOR ID. TOR ID means freight order ID. Okay, and I click on. So now if you see here, my freight order number is there. If you double click on this line item, you can find all the information. Okay, you can scroll to the right and see all the technical information. Now if we expand this on the left hand side window, suppose if you want to see which are the assigned freight units, click on assigned FUs. So you'll find this is the freight unit ID. So this is how technically you have to tell to your developer how the information needs to be retrieved. Okay, you can either do on a field level information, but this is how technically the developer will find out that he finds a key here. I was telling you every object creation has a key. This is the root key. So this is root key and this key is the same. You can specify any key, and then if you see this is the FU type and all. If you want to see what is your stage level information, if I go down, or rather if you want to say what are my business partner information, oh no, well, it will be Bupa consignee ship. This is your ship to party, this is your consignee. Okay, so for example, if you want to see in case some event management is there. Okay, so this is the event management. If you click on this, which are the events which is reported, you can directly go here, scroll down. Okay, you can see here, or you can scroll here, see actual date, actual time is reported here for the event ready load. Okay, so what you see in the up, you see in the down also. Okay, so basically if you want to see what is there in item TR, so these are the item TR what you have. Item tier means what are the item level information you have. Every item level, see product category is X, and you have this parent key, parent ID, all this information. If you want to see what is your vehicle, you can see this here. Okay, item category. So you can just scroll down. So whatever information you basically create, it always comes in this particular technical layer in order to find it out. See, this is output profile. So if you want to see the print road, you can see it here. Okay, clear?
Yes, we do.
So we see in this way the different types of data. Now there is one more transaction. So as far as I have shown you, first one is the modeling tool, second one is for your functional consultant. But there is one transaction based on which your technical guy do the coding. So the coding part is generally used using, so you don't have to worry on this, but just to give you CUST, cast. Cast UI means this is the code which is used basically by your development team to do your enhancement and all. Okay, either you do your enhancement based on a custom object or based on your business process enhancement. If you want to enhance your particular business object, you can use this object. So this is also called as the enhancement workbench. So the enhancement workbench generally will not allow you to create a new business object, but a standard view of object can be declared to be, you can extend the standard business object. Okay. If you want to create a business object, then that can also be possible. So if I click on any custom business object, you can just click on this. And then system will actually, I don't know what is this I'm getting. Business object depreciated. I don't know what is the error meaning of that. Okay, so suppose these are some of the business object enhancements which we have done. Okay. And here if you see, if I go into the particular business object within the interface, they have done some coding. You can do some interfaces from there. You can write the codes and all. Okay. So this I'm not going to details, but this is the place where you actually create your enhancement object. So if you want to create an enhancement object specifically, what you have to do here, go back. This is my business object. If I go below, mine is SCM TMS store. I click here and then I click on the right. I don't know why it is not coming. So basically we click on the right hand side and we click on create enhancement. I don't know what is this transaction. BOB is depreciated. But this is not, or we can use this BOBT. This is also a transaction through which we can do the enhancement, or we can enter into the BOPM modeling tool. Okay. Any question you have till now?
No,
It's fine, Veeran.
Okay. Now, if you want to basically know what are the existing baddies you have in your TM. So what is a baddie? So baddie is nothing but it's your SAP object-oriented plugin concept, right? Whatever. Okay. So through the baddie, you can actually plan any type of extension or new functionality which you want to implement into it. So that means that through the baddie, the developer actually can enhance the standard behavior of certain objects in the application. So how to find the baddies? You go to SPRO, go to SAP reference IMG, and then if you go to transportation management, and under transportation management, you will find your baddies, business baddies for transport management. Under business baddies for transportation management, basically now you have to understand for which application you want to use the baddie. Suppose if you want to use the baddie for freight order, you click on freight order and you can see what are the different baddies you have. So there are more than 70-80 baddies which you can use. So for various applications, you have a baddie. Suppose if you want to use a baddie for any type of master data, for example, resource, you can use this, go to the resource and check if the existing baddies can be used. If you are not able to find out any baddie, then you have to basically implement the baddie using transaction AC19. Okay. So in that case, you need to create a new baddie, or you need to check if an existing baddie can be helpful for you. Okay. So this is the transaction we generally use to find out the baddie. but this your developer will know it. Okay. So this, for example, we created one baddie Z test. If you go to display, okay, and then you call your interface. Within that, you can specify the method, and within the method, you can actually do the coding. Okay.
Yeah.
The next part already maybe I have discussed that. That is your process controller strategy. Okay. So that means wherever you, if you remember in your freight order, I've told you about change controller strategies and all. Okay. So change controller strategy means what? If you want to alter the standard behavior of an existing business object, we call it as a change controller. So the change controller means if I go to change controller, if I click, okay, this is for baddies, or rather you search by process controller. So if you go here, process controller. So process controller means every process controller. So that's why I told you that never touch the change controller wherever you see in your configuration, right? Because all are development. So if you want to do any type of changes, first of all, you need to identify which service you want to use. So SAP provides multiple services in standard, like if you want to change the standard behavior of freight unit builder, for example, or for incompatibility, for invoicing, for scheduling. So there are around 30 plus services what SAP provides. Okay, change controller. If you see, these are Chaco, toss save. Toss save means if you want to actually change the saving of your freight order or freight unit. Suppose if you want to do a validation during the saving of your freight order, then this toss save can be used. VSR checks, that means whenever you want to do your planning using a cockpit, if you want to put some specific validation, then you have to identify. So first of all, you need to identify the service. Okay. So once the, suppose I identify tod underscore save, once you identify the service, what is the next thing? So the next thing is that you need to define the class. Okay. So defining the service and defining the class. So for that, you go back, you define a method for that. Okay, because every method will have a class. Okay, so if I go to position, suppose I don't know whether I have anything for toss save. You have to check it in standard if there anything is there, or else you have to maybe go through it which is related to any toss save method. Okay, so we have not created any method specific for toss save. Okay, yeah, toss Chaco, toss save. Yeah, if you see, these are all related to todd. Okay, that means for freight order. So the next part is that you need to create a method for which, and every method calls a class. That means this is a development. Now, so first is the service, second is your method. So once the service and the method is identified, then you need to assign the method to the strategy. So for that, you need to define a strategy. So first you go to service, then you go to method, and then you assign the method to the strategy. You first of all define a strategy. Strategy means what? So for example, if you want to go to toss save, so STTOR. So for anything related to cancellation of your freight order, you want to give some validation there. Okay, toss save. See, every strategy has a link to a service. Can you give me 5 minutes? I just need to park my car inside. Can you give me 5 minutes, please?
Yes, Viren. Yes.
Yeah, just
Hey, Naresh. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, hello. Yeah, Anya.
Yeah, నరేష్ ఏంటంటే నాకు లాగిన్ అవ్వాలి నేను.
Okay, Andy.
సో
Yes.
సో అంటే నా షిఫ్ట్ నడుస్తుంది. సో ఐల్ బి లీవ్. క్యారీ ఆన్.
Naresh, just give me 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes.
And one more thing, Naresh, you have any email ID? I mean, of you, so that at any point of time, if at all I get any doubt and if I have to discuss something with you.
Yeah, I have. Mine is naresh.durga@gmail.com.
Naresh.durga. Okay. NARESH.DURGA
Yeah.
at gmail.com. Okay. I'll just send you an invite. Okay. నాదేమో vaishamkumar2003@gmail.com.
ఏదేంటి మళ్ళీ చెప్పండి ఒకసారి.
vaishamkumar2003@gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And by the way, you work for any organization?
Yeah. I work here for Yash Technologies in the US.
Acha. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Naresh.
Yeah.
I actually work for Deloitte.
Oh, okay.
And it's on completely SAP SD. So అట్లా
Oh,
ఇక్కడికి రావడం అనేది జరిగింది. సో
oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So we shall be in touch, and I'll just ping you off.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hi Viren.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Actually, someone came to my house. I had to just speak with them. Okay, fine. Yeah, could you see my system?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Just 1 minute. Okay.
Even had to draw.
So yeah. So we have to. So this is more or less the last part. So once you have defined the method, service, strategy. Once you have defined these three, then we need to assign the method to the strategy. Okay.
Okay.
So this means the whatever toss save you have created, you just need to assign it. So whatever strategy we saw that TOR cancel, we need to assign with that method. A method means the coding has to be done, and that is the thing. And then if you want to define some specific parameter, you can define it. Okay, or it's not required. So once you define your this strategy, once you have defined this strategy, we need to assign this strategy in our configuration of A4 type. Okay. So that is the only thing what you need to do.
Okay.
But always loop in your technical guy. Huh? You cannot do it by yourself. Okay, because this is completely a technical thing. Strategy, method, service. It's all up to technical how they want to do it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one more aspect where you can use your TM technical part to basically integrate with your means your functional and your technical here. There is one more thing what I just need to tell you, that whenever your TM technical wants to know, like apart from BADI, if there is something what else I can use, we have a concept called as a helper class method. Okay. So if you go to SC24, okay, and you just type in SCM TMS helper. So these are the different helper class. Helper class means what? Helper class means if you are not using BADI, this is a way of helping your technical to, rather than doing all the coding from scratch, they can reuse the helper class method to reduce the coding method. Okay, that is what we call as a helper class. That means you don't need to add any type of actions and validations from scratch, but rather you can just retrieve some coding from this helper class method and they can use it. So sometimes you will see here, if you recollect when I showed you that when you are creating your scale base, there is a method called as a helper method, if you remember. So that helper method is this part. See, TCC helper. Okay, for all charge management, you can use this helper to do it. So that means a predefined coding is there and they can just retrieve the coding from the helper class if they find it. So there are multiple helper class method which they require. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what we mainly do it basically from the TM technical side. But as I told you, you don't need to worry so much on this. But make sure, please check this part. What I told you about this test UI. This is the main thing what you need to use.
Okay.
Okay. So if if all the data is correctly populated, you need to check here, because this is your bread and butter of the objects which is created, and if it is available here or not. That's what you need to see.
Okay.
Any other questions you have?
Yeah, just one quick question, Viren. So whatever we can achieve through BADI, can we achieve the same thing using helper class as well, or is there any
Yes.
limitations?
No, there is no limitation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Viren, no other questions from my side.
Okay. So That's what I had to say. And yeah, so technically this is done. So in case, just go through this browsings, what type of data you can view, anything, just do it. In case you face any issue, let me know. Okay.
Okay, sure. Viren.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll just go through the last class where I will just give an overview of the this container scenario. Okay. And then yeah, so tomorrow we'll just close it up.
Sure. Viren. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Bye, Viren.